In today's politically charged climate, the debate over illegal immigration and U.S. citizenship has reached a fever pitch. With President Trump back in office in 2025, new executive orders, immigration crackdowns, and sweeping policy reforms have reignited national attention on the sharp contrast between those who enter and stay in America illegally and those who follow the long, complicated path toward lawful citizenship. But what are the real differences between illegal immigrants and U.S. citizens? How are their rights, responsibilities, and treatment under the law different? And why does it matter so much? Now, more than ever. To understand the magnitude of this issue, we first need to define the terms. An illegal immigrant is someone who enters the U.S. without legal permission or stays beyond the expiration of a visa. This includes border crossers without inspection, as well as visa overstays. In contrast, a U.S. citizen is either born on U.S. soil or becomes a citizen through the legal process of naturalization. These two statuses aren't just titles. They define people's entire relationship with the American government, society, and economy. Let's begin with legal protections. U.S. citizens enjoy the full spectrum of constitutional rights, including voting in elections, access to federal benefits, holding a U.S. passport, and protection from deportation. They can sponsor relatives for green cards, apply for federal jobs, and freely travel in and out of the country. Illegal immigrants, on the other hand, live in constant fear of detection and deportation. They do not have the right to vote, cannot apply for most federal jobs, and are generally excluded from welfare programs. Even simple things like opening a bank account or renting an apartment can be incredibly difficult without proper documentation. This imbalance affects employment opportunities as well. While U.S. citizens can apply for any job in the open market and are protected by minimum wage and labor laws, many illegal immigrants work in the shadows, underpaid, uninsured, and often exploited. They're concentrated in industries like agriculture, construction, hospitality, and domestic labor. Employers sometimes prefer hiring them off the books to avoid paying taxes or benefits. This not only creates an unfair labor environment, but also depresses wages in certain sectors, leading to economic resentment among working-class Americans. Now let's talk about education and healthcare. U.S. citizens have access to free public education through high school, and many receive financial aid for college. Illegal immigrants can often attend public schools as children thanks to a 1982 Supreme Court ruling. But when it comes to higher education, they face steep barriers. Many are ineligible for financial aid or in-state tuition. In terms of healthcare, U.S. citizens qualify for Medicare, Medicaid, and ACA programs, while illegal immigrants are largely excluded unless emergency services are involved. This contributes to a silent crisis, where millions live with untreated illnesses and avoid medical care out of fear of being reported. But the debate doesn't end with rights and benefits. It extends into criminal law and deportation policy. A U.S. citizen, even if convicted of a serious crime, cannot be deported. An illegal immigrant, however, can be removed from the country even for minor infractions, especially under the Trump administration's renewed priority enforcement system. In 2025, ICE has expanded authority and increased raids nationwide, focusing not just on felons, but on any undocumented individual encountered. Even those who have lived in the U.S. for decades, paid taxes, and raised children can be suddenly detained and deported. The social implications are just as stark. U.S. citizens have a voice in the democratic process. They can serve on juries, run for office, and shape the laws that govern their lives. Illegal immigrants, meanwhile, live in the shadows, afraid to speak up, file complaints, or interact with authorities. This creates an underclass of people without representation, making them more vulnerable to discrimination, abuse, and exploitation. Now let's take a look at taxes, a frequent point of contention. One common myth is that illegal immigrants don't pay taxes. That's false. Many undocumented workers do pay income taxes using an ITIN, Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, and nearly all pay sales tax, property tax through rent, and gasoline tax. However, because of their status, they cannot claim most tax benefits like Social Security or Medicare, even if they contribute to them. U.S. citizens, of course, are both contributors and beneficiaries of the full tax system. This brings us to the path to legal status. For U.S. citizens, rights are guaranteed from birth or granted through naturalization, which itself is a long, expensive, and often stressful process. Immigrants who want to become citizens must first obtain a green card, live in the U.S. for years, pass English and civics tests, and maintain a clean legal record. There is no direct path from illegal status to citizenship. While programs like DACA or TPS provide temporary protection for some, they are not permanent fixes. Under Trump's 2025 immigration reform, even these programs are at risk of being dismantled or restricted further. In terms of family life, citizenship offers stability. U.S. citizens can petition for their spouse, children, or parents to join them. Illegal immigrants, however, risk separation at any moment. We've seen heartbreaking stories of families being torn apart, children born in the U.S. placed into foster care, while their undocumented parents are deported. The emotional toll is enormous, with long-term psychological effects on children who grow up in fear of losing their family. Now, some argue that illegal immigrants contribute to society and deserve a path to stay. Others say that allowing them to remain rewards breaking the law. This debate is the heart of America's immigration battle. On one side are those who believe in law and order, arguing that if people skip the line, it's unfair to those waiting legally. On the other are those who argue for compassion and reality, pointing out that millions of undocumented immigrants have built lives, worked hard, and contributed to the American economy for years. Under President Trump's 2025 agenda, the U.S. is taking a hardline stance. New rules make it more difficult for undocumented immigrants to obtain legal status through marriage or work sponsorship. Immigration judges have less discretion to cancel removal orders. Sanctuary cities are under pressure to comply with federal detainer requests. And a new nationwide E-Verify mandate is making it harder for undocumented workers to find employment. Meanwhile, the naturalization process for legal immigrants has become more rigorous, with longer wait times, increased fees, and more frequent denials for those with any minor blemish on their record. It's also worth mentioning the public perception battle. Illegal immigrants are often scapegoated in political rhetoric, blamed for crime, job loss, and public resource strain. Yet data shows that immigrants, legal and illegal alike, commit crimes at lower rates than U.S.-born citizens and are more likely to start businesses, take on difficult jobs, and contribute positively to their communities. Still, the stereotype persists, fueling hostility and division. The contrast becomes even more relevant when discussing national identity. U.S. citizenship comes with a sense of belonging, of being part of a shared American story. Illegal immigrants are often invisible in that narrative, essential workers during crises, yet excluded from recognition and rights. This invisibility, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic and now during economic recovery in 2025, reveals a deep contradiction. Relying on undocumented labor while refusing them legal protection or dignity. So what's the way forward? The real solution lies not in demonizing one group or blindly accepting another. It lies in comprehensive immigration reform, something that has eluded Congress for decades. A balanced approach could secure the border, create a fair system for legal entry, and offer undocumented immigrants a real, accountable path to legal status. Not blanket amnesty, but earned opportunity. In closing, the difference between illegal immigrants and U.S. citizens is not just a matter of paperwork. It's a matter of power, protection, and participation. In 2025, this contrast is sharper than ever. For those with citizenship, it's a shield that grants security, voice, and opportunity. For those without it, life in the United States is a high-wire act, one mistake away from losing everything. As the nation debates its future, the question remains, can America create an immigration system that honors its laws and its humanity? The answer will shape generations to come.